Hello everyone, it's Silvia from Feel Like Tarot. Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to have a look at a couple of new decks, Tarot and Oracle, and also a couple of new books. So this Tarot and Oracle and books haul was completely unplanned. We've actually, we were in a very nice location today because my husband was running the half marathon, and I Googled and I found out that there were a couple of bookstores. And so whilst he was running and I was waiting for him, I just went to check them out, and they were absolutely fantastic. And I didn't plan to buy any decks. I did actually plan to buy books, but what happened was that the last of these three bookstores they had a really great stock of tarot and oracle decks, and I just couldn't help myself because they had one tarot deck that is, I believe it's super new. I haven't seen anyone with this deck, actually two decks that are completely new, and I've never seen them in any platform whatsoever. And then another deck that is not new, but is new to my collection. And amazingly, they had it available, and it was even cheaper on Amazon. So I really had to, and they're absolutely 1000% genuine decks. So I was really happy. I was genuinely happy to find these decks. Let's have a look at what I've got. So the one that I wanted to talk about immediately is this one here, and it's really, really new. It's brand new. It's the Black Violet Tarot by Heidi Phelps. This is the mass market edition. It's been published by Rockpool, and if you know this tarot, you probably think it's not new. Of course, the tarot itself is not new in the sense that it came out indie. Heidi actually published an indie version of this deck, even more than an indie version, because there were a couple of different versions. One was called the Deluxe print, one was the Cherry Black, I think the Cherry Black Violet Tarot. Another one was a very, very special print that was actually a mistake. I do have it, so I'm just going to show you. So this is the indie version of this deck, and it comes in a tuck box, but this one is a very special one because there was a mistake, probably a misunderstanding or a miscommunication between the creator and the printer. And what happened was that whilst she wanted, I don't know whether it was a clear message or not, but she had requested black background in the back with black gloss spot foil. So as you can see, the bags, you still have the gloss spots on the flowers, but instead of having the whole background also black like she requested, the printer actually printed them in white. And so there's only a bunch of these that actually made it, and she's been selling them as well. And I was lucky to secure a copy, and I have to say, I actually really, really like it. I prefer this contrast. It just looks more appealing to me. But I didn't want to show you the indie edition. I wanted to show you the mass market edition because this is the one that is just out of press, and I have to say, they've done a fantastic job at Rockpool. I am very impressed. The guidebook is really good as well. As you can see, it's quite chunky. There's a lot of information on the cards. You'd also get something about the reverse meaning of the cards. You will see this is really interesting because you've got the author's note on specific cards. I don't remember which ones. There's a few of them. There you go. There's on the Six of Pentacles, on the Eight of Swords, and others. And that's really interesting because it really gives you Heidi's idea on those specific cards. There's not much else, to be honest. I remember just maybe a couple of spreads. Yeah. Yeah, 1, 2, 3 spreads, which is fine because it's always nice to find specifically thought out spreads. Sometimes when it's too many, it's probably, you know, it don't use them, or at least I don't end up using all of them. What I like is that you got more or less the same amount of information when it comes to the minors and also the majors. So it's actually really, really cool. So as I was saying, the guidebook is really interesting. And I don't know if you noticed, but there was no guidebook in the edition, even though you could actually go to a website and download that. So I actually did that once. I downloaded it, I didn't print it out, and what happens is that if I don't print out something, it is very unlikely that I go pick it back up. So these are the cards. They are really beautiful. So there is this really gorgeous purple, violet, more than purple, edging. It is glossy, but it looks like it's a very high quality because it is glossy, but it's not that kind of glossy that feels like it's gonna be chipped after the first couple of uses. And these are the backs, by the way. So obviously we were looking at the backs of the indie edition earlier, so these are quite different. So if you really loved these bags, obviously you would prefer those ones to these ones. I actually don't mind these ones. I think they're fine. They're reversible. They're absolutely fine by me. It is a nice 2 parts box. And the cardstock, I have to say, is a bit on the thin side, but it doesn't feel flimsy. So it is thin, but it's only because I've been handling the other cardstock, the indie one, which is thicker. And I'm just going to show you by comparing how thick the two decks are. And ironically, they actually feel, we have more or less the same thickness. So it will point out to a very similar kind of cardstock. Yeah, there's not that much of a difference between the two of them. And yet again, I can assure you that when you do handle them this way, this one feels slightly thinner, not that much, but it does feel thinner. The front, the top card is giving you the exact same tactile sensation as the indie deck. So it's very papery, but at the same time, it gives you the idea that this deck can actually be used a number of times without getting ruined or damaged. So it's a very, very good experience when it comes to the tactile feel. I have to say, though, that I absolutely love the gloss spot of the black flowers in the backs of this one, which you obviously do not have in this case. But that's the only thing that I would say I find, you know, that I prefer in this deck. When it comes to the edging or gilding, I definitely prefer this purple. I think that with the backs, it looks absolutely fantastic. And that's about it. So I really like what they've done. I don't think, sometimes they're a bit of a hit and miss, Rockpool, when it comes to tarot deck especially. I think that they have perfected the art of publishing oracle decks, but when it comes to tarot decks, it's a bit difficult to understand if they want to follow the author's, the creator's wishes, perhaps. I don't know, but in any case, this one is perfect. And as always, it would be very interesting to understand how much of this has been done with the help of the creator or following on what the creator had done in the original indie edition. I don't know, but it's really beautiful. And if you did like the Black Violet Tarot, you didn't want to spend an enormous amount of money on the indie edition, this is mass market. As I said, it's very similar. The experience will be the same as reading with the indie deck. And it's very affordable, which is, you know, it's always a plus. So I'm so very happy that I got this deck, even though I do love my indie, because I just don't want to ruin the indie deck. And I'm definitely going to use the mass market one from now on when I'm going to give out readings for this, with this, for myself and for others, for my members, for example. Sometimes they request the deck. I have used this one once, I think. So obviously, it's a very minimalist kind of style. If you're not familiar with this deck, it's all in black and white, but it's very beautiful. And it does have some kind of because of this muted color palette as well and the minimalist kind of art style, it does have some kind of intuitive vibes to it, which I really appreciate. But I really love what they've done at Rockpool. Fantastic. I'm impressed. Really beautiful deck. So this is the first one that I wanted to show you because I have actually not seen that deck around. And I was very happy that I could find it and get a copy. Then the second deck, just to vary it a little bit, I'm going to show you is this one. So this is the Tarot of Persephone's Garden. This is by Kara Small. And it's absolutely fantastic. This is an indie deck. I've actually been in touch with the creator. I bought another deck from her. Not this one. It was a trade that we did a couple of months ago. And she's absolutely sweet. She also has a, I believe this is sold on an Etsy shop. So I will make sure to put the link to her Etsy shop in the description box below if you are interested. So these are the backs, and I really love them. So I don't know if you can see, but this is actually linen front and back, which is always very nice. So created by Kara Small. I thought that there would have been the address to the Etsy shop in here, but there isn't. In any case, whether it's Etsy or not, I will make sure to put the link in the description box below. I actually got this deck because one of my members, Starlight members, reached out to me and said she knew that I liked it and it was in my wish list. And she said, look, I'm going to get it. So as always, we can get 2 copies and then we just split the cost, which makes it affordable. Even when we have to pay a lot of money for the shipping, it's fine. So as you can see, it's really beautiful. It's curated art. I tend to see this deck as my Tarot of Delphi, which I always missed out on. So the Tarot of Delphi, if you're not familiar with it, it's also curated art. And as a matter of fact, a lot of these images you will be familiar with if you do have the Tarot of Delphi, because they are featured in that very same deck. It is really gorgeous. It's a very beautiful type of art. But that deck is out of print, super hard to find. It's one of those decks that people ask for, I don't know, $1,000 or even more for it. And it's absolutely outside my price range. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't even want to spend that much money on that deck. There is one deck, which is the Delta Enduring Tarot, which I would actually be ready to spend a bit more money on. Not as much as people has been asking for it lately. I think it's, you know, so I know that a tarot deck is always as valuable as a collector is willing to pay for it. And so obviously if someone is willing to pay $1,200, $1,300 for it, it means that it does have that kind of value, at least for that one person. However, it doesn't have that kind of value for me. Obviously, I'm a collector as well, but I'm not willing to spend that much money on a deck. But this is absolutely beautiful. It's very affordable. I mean, it's an indie deck, so obviously it's more expensive than a mass market deck, but it's more affordable, and it's definitely much more affordable if you always wanted your Tarot or Delphi and you couldn't get it. By the way, I just realized my voice sounds terrible. We think we're actually kind of sick. We don't really know. I don't have a fever, so here I am. But we've been under the weather for the last 3 or 4 days. And there is a virus in circulation in Sydney. It's called RVS. I'm not entirely sure what that stands for. And I have no proof to say that I have it or not. It's just absolutely random. But just there's a lot of people that are actually sick these days. And, you know, it's a respiratory virus, so obviously it's very easy to catch. So this is the Tarot of Persephone's Garden. And I wanted to show you how I'm actually going to pair it up with an oracle deck that I absolutely adore, that reminds me a lot of this deck. And it's this one here. It's the Fairy Forest Oracle. This is by Lucy Cavendish. The artwork, however, is by Maxine Gadd. And this has been republished by Blue Angel recently. So there's an older edition of this deck. So if you have the older edition of the deck, you will probably not recognize it. This is being published on a newer cardstock as well. And I have to say, I really love this cardstock from Blue Angel. I don't know whether they'll republish all of the decks, the older decks, you know, the ones that we know and love so much. If they did, I would be very happy, but I don't have any news about it. They were at the expo in Melbourne, Mind, Body, Spirit, but I didn't go. So I just saw all of the stories on Instagram, and it was very interesting because they have new decks, which is very exciting. So I don't know. Let me know what you think about these two together, because I know that a lot of you do have the Tarot of Persephone's Garden, and I know that you're always coming through for me, guys. Whenever I ask a question in my videos, you always come through for me. You always let me know what you think. And so I wanted to know, first of all, what you think about this pairing in specific. And I also wanted to know if you think of another deck that would pair just as well or even better with this one, with the Tarot of Persephone's Garden. Personally, I really like these two together. I think that they vibe, even though the fairy, obviously the fairy forest is a fairy deck, you can tell. I mean, all of the images point clearly to the fairy kingdom. However, I still believe that it's almost as if these two together, because of those fairy vibes, would actually take you into this world that has a little bit of magic and a little bit of mundane as well. So I really like the way these two interact together. And I also wanted to check if the Tarot of Persephone's Garden will go well with another deck, which is also by Blue Angel. And it's not, let's say, set in the fairy kingdom. So this is the Maidens of the Wheel Oracle cards by Tammy Wampler. It's also by Blue Angel, as I was saying. I recently got this deck because it pairs really, really well with the Tamara Tarot. And I used them together, and I absolutely love the way they look. But I think we may have something here. I may be onto something here. So maybe I am actually not sick. I might just be tired. And let me just check it out, because this is first impression. I have not tried this before, not just on the channel, but literally. So I could be completely wrong, or maybe there is something there. So the Maidens of the Wheel is obviously, you know, you have all of these characters. There's a lot of, let's say, mythical creatures here. There's a lot of legendary creatures here. There's a lot of lore, myth, as we said. And it's an amazingly beautiful deck. I really love it. And I think it pairs up well. The color palette seems to be very similar, if not entirely the same. But there is something here. There is what I like to call resonances and echoes between the cards. I think it's gorgeous. These two are really beautiful together. I really, really enjoy them. But again, let me know if you think of another deck. Let me know about it in the comments below. I always love trying out new pairings. I've actually done a little bit of research, and I've seen someone pairing the Tarot of Persephone's Garden with the Devils of Creation by Cilla Conway. I do have the Devils of Creation, and I did try out the pairing, but I wasn't I wasn't loving it, let's put it this way. And I mean, there was something to it, absolutely, but I wasn't really loving it. And I think that it called for a very specific kind of usage of that pairing. And I wasn't in the right state of mind for trying that out. But I think these two really pair up well together. Again, if you have another example or idea, let me know. So this one was the Tarot of Persephone's Garden, paired up with a couple of decks, the Fairy Forest and the Maidens of the Wheel, published by Blue Angel. And now we're going to have a look at another couple of decks. I'm very excited about this one because I can't contain my excitement anymore. This is the Ghostbusters Tarot Deck and Guidebook. And you guessed it, because everyone knows this kind of layout. We know who the publisher is. So I am very curious. This is obviously Insight Edition. I had to double check because sometimes in Australia we get Titan Books. So Titan Books is basically licensed by Insight Edition to print and resell, so distribute these decks in the UK. Or perhaps, you know, vice versa. But in any case, Titan and Insight Editions distribute the same decks. And sometimes we get the UK edition in Australia. Sometimes we get the American edition, which is Insight Edition. So the Ghostbusters Tarot Deck. If you're familiar with Insight Edition, you will know that their decks are literally a bit of a hit and miss, in the sense that you may get one that is very, very gorgeous. It's got fully scenic illustrated minors and they make sense. The renaming of the suits makes sense. They're all fantastic. Everyone enjoys them. I have to say, there is definitely one or two that I also like. I personally really enjoyed the Stranger Things tarot, even though there were a couple of things that just did not make sense. I don't understand if this happens because they don't necessarily have people that know tarot, which is possible sometimes, or they actually make these choices on purpose and they don't realize that they are just going to create some kind of confusion in the tarot community. So as you know, it's always depending on, well, the luck of the draw, really, because you can find a very well done deck and a not so well done deck, and I'm almost scared. I don't know if I want to go ahead and open this one because I loved Ghostbusters and I still do. And I watched it when I was very little and I just loved this so much. And I rewatched this so many times and I think I know it by heart. And some of the scenes, I was just on the edge of my seat. The very first scene in the library, spoiler alert, they go to the New York Public Library because they heard that there's a something going on that they don't necessarily know what it is. And so they go and there is this ghost and it's green. And it's someone reading a book. And I always thought, and I've always been reading so many books in my life, and I thought that was so cool that there was a ghost that was still reading a book, even when, you know, after their life, after they pass away and they become a ghost and they're still reading. And I thought it was incredibly cool. And so the whole movie, I just always enjoy so much, even after, I don't know, has it been 30 years, 40 years probably? I don't even know how many years it's been. I wasn't a fan so much so of the sequels, but I just love the original one so much. And so I'm really scared because I'm really scared that this deck is going to ruin it. But then again, I thought to myself, it's just a deck, it's just a tarot deck, it's okay. And generally speaking, Insight Edition is very good at for the majors. So the major is gonna, I believe they're gonna be okay. So two-part box as always, there's a green ribbon here, the guidebook. I don't know if I want to look at the guidebook because it's going to show me if there's going to be hits and misses in the minors. So for now, we're not going to have a look at the guidebook. We're going to set this aside. We're going to have a look at the cards. And then we're going to look at the guidebook. Amazing. Love this. This is Gozer's, let's say the pyramid. The symbology is always referring back to Gozer. Now, I've done a little bit of study of Gozer because it sounded like Gozu, which is a Japanese yokai, and it's basically the body of a man and the head of a bull. And it's amazing because Gozo is actually a guardian of hell, and it has the task of chasing and bringing back every soul that escapes hell. And I always made the parallel, some kind of I found that you could actually look at Gozer, which comes from the Mesopotamian mythology. But it's very similar because the role of Gozer is the god of hell, basically. It's not the guardian of hell, but he's the god of hell. And it's also the god of destruction, let's say. And it's got two guardians, and they both look like some really prehistoric looking kind of dogs. And if you notice, they're actually here on the cover of the guidebook. And let's go ahead. I know I'm postponing. I know. I'm just so scared. I'm just scared that it's going to be terrible. I have no idea. So here we go. Okay, here goes nothing. Okay, we got the full. I really love Bill Murray, by the way. I read I think I watched a documentary on the making of Ghostbuster, and Bill Murray was in Europe on a vacation, and they weren't even sure that he was going to show up for filming, but then he did, and they all loved filming this movie. The Magician, of course. Rick Moranis as the Magician. I don't know if what I feel. Well, he's an accountant, so I don't know what I feel about that. And I think we can actually see here a first glimpse at what will be the suit. And this is one of the guardians for the High Priestess. Yeah, I get that, because the High Priestess is the guardian of memory. So that is actually really good. And of course, we got Sigourney Weaver for the Empress. So obviously there's going to be a lot of spoilers for the movie. So if you haven't watched the original Ghostbusters, what are you doing? Just stop this video, go watch the movie, because it's going to be a treat. You're going to love it, trust me. So obviously she gets kind of possessed, and Rick Moranis gets possessed too, and they transform themselves into the guardian of the gates of hell. So the Emperor, again, okay, the Hierophant is the other guardian, which it kind of makes sense. I understand that. So the Lovers is obviously Bill Murray and Sigourney Weaver, because they do Bill Murray is kind of flirting with her all the time. And I can see that, but there's also the fridge door. So the first time in which Sigourney Weaver's apartment gets haunted is when she's in the kitchen, and she opens the door, the fridge door, and there's like, this representation of hell in her fridge. And this is obviously the car, chasing a couple of ectoplasms here. And the Statue of Liberty for the Strength card, love that, absolutely. It is obviously based in New York. And the Hermit, Spangler, and the Wheel of Fortune, love this. I really love this. So this is one of the cutest ghosts, of course, in the movie, eating the pizza, basically eats all the junk food. Justice might be the environmental agency that wants to shut them down. And the Hangman, Death, there you go, this is Gozer. That's really beautiful. Zadamore with Temperance. I'm just thinking whether I see that. Probably I see that because he actually joins the group not since the beginning, but slightly later. And he seems to be the more balanced or grounded of the group. And the Devil is definitely the marshmallow. This is not, the thing is that obviously this represents evil, because it's the way in which the Ghostbusters themselves, they are asked by Gozer to think about something that will kill them, and then it appears. And obviously they're not thinking about something inherently evil, because this is obviously meant to be something for kids. I think it's called the Puff Man or something like that. I call it Marshmallow because it looks like marshmallow to me. And this is the tower, obviously, where they have the final confrontation with the tower. Oh, of course. So she's the, I don't remember, she's the assistant. I don't remember the name. She is actually in the sequel, so that's kind of cool. With the star, I kind of get it because there is this sense of communication. I don't know whether there's a sense of healing and hope, but maybe I will have a look at the book and see what it says. And this is the first ghost. So yes, I absolutely love it. Then the first ghost is there. So you can see this is the New York Public Library. I really love it. There's the moon phases there. Love this one. But again, I never had problems in appreciating the majors in an Insight Edition deck. So then again, we're not out of the woods yet. You never know. So the sun, which is, yeah, I get it. That's fine. Judgment is definitely the environmental agency that wants to shut them down. So the other one may have been a perhaps a judge or a policeman. The world, yeah, I get it. Okay, here we go. So we always start with the court cards, which is fun by me because the court cards are still kind of scenic. So, okay, Spangler, King of Wands, yeah, I get it. That's the energy of fire. I completely get it. And we already see that these are called the wands, but it looks like the wands are actually the guns that they're using. So, okay, so there is no renaming. However, there is a different symbology. I like that. I prefer it, to be honest, because when they do a full renaming, sometimes it's distracting. So I'm kind of liking it so far. Here we go. Here goes nothing. The Ace of Wands. No, guys, no. No, please. Okay. 2 of Wands, very peepish. 3 of Wands, very peepish. Okay, 4 of Wands, fully scenic, I would say. And it's 4 of them. 4 of Wands makes sense. I like it. 5 of Wands, very peepish. 6 of Wands, not peepish. I like it because Spangler is always the one that fixes everything, finds the way to fix the problem. So it makes sense with the 6 of Wands because he let's say, triumphs over adversity. The 7 of Wands, by the way, I'm not sure I have enough light to show you, but these cards in real life are very dark, very dark. So this part of the card is practically black for me. If I look through the lens right now, I can see that there's a bit of color here, but it's, yeah, it's weird. So the 7 of Wands, yeah, I get it, absolutely. Yeah, stick to your guns, absolutely. Okay, we got it. 8 of Wands at speed, yeah, I like that. 9 of Wands, very peepish, but I can see how that will point to resilience. 10 of Wands, yeah, no, peepish and lazy. Then traps. What is traps? What do you think traps is? Because obviously here we have a renaming. So King of Traps, Queen of Traps, Knight of Traps, Page of Traps. I still, well, is it Cups? Yes. Okay, it looks like it might be Cups. So traps and cups, yeah, containment, I get it. Let's see, Ace of Traps is definitely, yeah, it could point to the overflowing of water. Instead, in this case, is light for the Ace of Cups. 2 of Traps. Okay, so do I need to read it? It doesn't give me 2 of Cups vibes. And the other ones are going to be peepish. So you know what? I think it's time to actually have a look at the guidebook. So, minor arcana, does it say something? Suit of Wands, yeah, we got the Suit of Wands, that wasn't the problem. Suit of Traps is a containment unit, obviously, yes, but do you tell me something. The Queen of Cups is compassionate Queen of Cups. Yeah, it's definitely cups. It's definitely cups. So, but why the Two of Cups has got only one person? Like the founding of the Ghostbusters, Two of Cups signals the start of new partnerships or relationships built on mutual respect and appreciation. Together, you will help one another reach a higher potential. I love the descriptions. They never have any problems with the description. The problem is with the minors. It's just, as you can see, I mean, some of them are great. Some of them are just lazy, like this Three of Traps or Cups, for example. I mean, I can see that, but then you move on to this, which looks like a schematic or a blueprint. And then this one is actually fully cynic, and I love it, and I agree. I actually see meaning into this because it is the Five of Cups. It's the sense of loss, but not everything is lost. And the metro, is that the metro? Yes. I love this one as well as the Six of Cups. I get it. The Seven of Cups, not really, because it's supposed to point to a choice and the impossibility to choose and the fact that there might be danger ahead instead of something positive. So I don't see that. And I think it's very pippish and lazy. The Eight of Traps also don't really see this, even though there is the sense of detachment. Spangler, especially when we look at the sequels, is the one that actually chooses to not to speak to the others. So maybe this one is very lazy, very lazy. What about this one? Ten of Traps. I mean, they are crossing the streams, so maybe there's something about that. Then we got streams. The King of Stream, the Queen of Streams, which is, again, we're going back to the very first ghost in the New York Public Library after she transforms into something really scary. The Knight of Streams. Spangler again, the Page of Streams, Ace of Streams. So streams seems to be, we got Swords and Pentacles left. And which one is the next one? Marshmallow. I'm guessing Marshmallow is Pentacles. So I'm going to go with streams being Swords. I could be wrong. So the Two of Streams being stuck. Yeah, I can see that. Or I don't know, because the Three of Streams looks more like cooperation. We'll have to go to the guidebook again. So streams, okay, here we go. For example, Three of Streams, even without ectoplasmic mood slime, negative emotions are a natural part of life. It is the Three of Swords. The Three of Streams signals heartbreak and sorrow. Okay, we got it. So streams is definitely Swords. So this is being stuck. This is, okay, heartbreak somehow. This will point to heartbreak. Probably need to think about this one for a bit. The Four of Streams will have to point to that moment of rest because there's this stillness and exhaustion, which I don't really see in this card. Don't cross the streams, the Five of Streams. There might be the gaslighting in this case. I don't know. I love the fact that they actually use that sentence, don't cross the streams, in the graffiti for the metro. The Six of Streams, which is generally that transaction, that journey you have to embark upon, even though you don't necessarily want to, but you have to go to a better place. I don't see that here. This is the Seven of Streams, and I don't really... Oh, okay, this is the lady that had a fur made out of... I don't even know what these are. And they come back to life, you know, and yeah. Why is this the Seven of Streams? Okay, there's a deceit, maybe, but I don't really see it. Eight of Streams, which is a prison of your own making. I definitely see that. The Nine of Streams, obviously these are their lockers. Maybe when everything feels lost, but I don't know. I will have to read that. Ten of Streams, Yeah, being stabbed by 10 swords. And then the King of Marshmallow and the Queen of Marshmallow. Knight of Marshmallow, the Page of Marshmallow. Ace of Marshmallow. So we got the Pentacles here. Let's see. Okay, the Two of Marshmallows, Stay Puff Marshmallows. Maybe, I don't know. Not really though. Three of Marshmallow, definitely not. I mean, it is scenic, but I don't necessarily understand what's pointing to the meaning of the Three of Marshmallows. Again, we'll have to probably check that out in the guidebook. But I'm not going to do it in this video, at least not for all of the card, because I really want this to be a first impression. So I want you guys to see how happy or unhappy I'm going to be with this deck. The Five of Pentacles, definitely. Six of Pentacles, don't know. I don't think it's, okay, there's a kind of something that I need to say. I actually still love it. There are at least 3 or 4 cards that I don't understand in the minors, and there are at least 3 or 4 cards that I find pippish and very lazy, like some of these ones. When it's the blueprint can go in one card. You can show me a blueprint as a card, it's fine. But when it's 2, this is already the second one. I believe there might be even more, but I didn't pay attention. But in any case, 1 is fine. 2, it doesn't make sense because it starts to get, see, there's a 2 of Wands. And then the other one that we just saw, which is this one here, which is the 4 of Traps, which is the 4 of Cups. And I don't see the blueprint. And also in the suit of traps, to be honest, I don't really understand why using the traps like this in the 7 and then, you know, like that. I know why they do that. I know that it's not uncommon for Insight Edition to make a deck this way. As a matter of fact, that is what they do. They do that over and over and over again. They don't listen to what we are saying. They don't listen to what the tarot community and tarot collectors are telling them, which is that this actually doesn't really work for us. However, I have to say a couple of things. So the colors, I love them. It goes from this kind of electric blue to purple to a lighter purple or blurple to black to the fluo green. I actually really, really love the colors of the cards. I have to say, compared to other decks from Insight Edition, the cardstock is actually a bit of an improvement. It feels very silky to the touch. The cards don't glue one to the other like in other decks, and I'm expecting it to be a fairly easy deck to shuffle and to fan out. We know, we've just seen what I think about the minors. I love the majors. I am on board with the court cards. Some of the minors definitely make sense to me, but we're still at the percentage that we have at least, I don't know, 15 cards in the minors that just don't make sense. They don't tell me much. They are not embodying the spirit of the card that they represent. Others do, for sure. I think the suit of Wands is probably the one that I like best. These are my first impressions, but I have to say that I still love it. I actually still love it. So, and I'm kind of happy that I got this deck, and it was completely out of the blue. As I said, it was a surprise because I didn't know that it was already available. I thought that we will have to wait another 6 months to get it. It is out in the US, but as usual, Australia comes last. So when I saw it, I immediately got it, and I'm kind of happy that I did because I like it. And now, last but not least, among the decks that I got, this is the Witch Oracle. So Woman in Total Control of Herself. This is an Oracle deck that came out of a Kickstarter first, and then it went into mass market by US Games. It's by Angie Salins, and the artwork is by Silas Tobol or Tobol. I am very excited about this deck. I cannot get it, so I couldn't get it. I didn't back the Kickstarter campaign. Just there's a lot of Kickstarter campaign, almost a new one every week. So to be honest, I have to make a choice. And this one didn't look like it was something that I wanted to spend a lot of money on. And then I heard from people that as soon as they received the Kickstarter campaign, this one went directly mass market. They didn't even wait. So there was a lot of people that was actually kind of upset because of that. And I kind of get it, because you spend a lot of money and there's this kind of, let's say, silent agreement between the parties that you're going to support the artist for the publication of the deck, because the artist is not going via the traditional way of being published. And then again, you get it, you spend what you spent on it, and then you hear that at the same time or within the same month, you know, there's going to be a mass market deck that is it looks exactly the same, apart from a couple of things that US Games implemented as changes, but for everything else, it looks very much the same. And so I remember a lot of people actually voicing their disappointment at what happened, and I understand. So this is the Women in Total Control of Herself Oracle. Become a disciple of inner devotion, resurrect the silver salvation of self-respect. Believe in yourself and your wild holy heart like it's a sovereign religion. It is, and the world needs more missionaries. Okay, I have to say, I don't know why US Games lately, they always give you this organza bag, which is, I mean, I guess if you want to keep it in a bag, you already have one, but I don't know who actually uses these. These are very flimsy, but in any case, of course, to each their own. I have used organza bags in the past, so fair enough. I should probably not say anything. So this is the guidebook. Again, I did watch a video of someone comparing the Kickstarter edition to the mass market edition, but I completely forgot if the Kickstarter came with a guidebook or not. But being by Angie Salins, it probably did, because, you know, all of Angie's, obviously she's writing the guidebooks. It looks really beautiful when it comes to the colors. I apologize, I'm filming this, which is very, very late. I don't have any available light, and the only light that I can use is this one here in front. And so I have to tilt the book in order to be able to get the light on the pages. And I don't want to break the spine, but I love that there's a fair bit of description on the cards. And there's a full page in color with the reproduction of the card. So it looks really nice for the time being. So let's have a look at the card. I think that I have to open, yeah, they are also shrink wrapped, as they do most of the time when it comes to US Games. So let me just do this. Okay, so we've got it here. I love the backs because I don't know if you can see, but this one and this one are actually in foil, and it's a metallic teal color, which is basically my favorite. I really, really like them. And the image is a bit, so there is a moth here. It's reversible, obviously. I like it. It's they look very nice. I really love these bags, I have to say. So it comes gold gilded. It's a matte gold gilding, so hopefully it's also good quality. But you know, sometimes these ones, what the result is that the cards actually are glued one to the other. And so here we go. So this is the same image what we find in on the guidebook and also on the box. So we actually know that one, the Story Keeper. Look how beautiful. Look at this card. I mean, I got this deck because I've seen a few walkthroughs of this deck, and I just always stop the video whenever this card comes up because it's absolutely gorgeous. I really love it. The Spider Woman, the Weaver. You guys know what I feel about spiders, but this is really, really cool. The Phoenix with Rebirth. The Selkie. So obviously we're also looking at a bit of a mix with Myth, Creatics of Cunning. That's beautiful. with the fox, obviously, for symbology. Wow. Oh my goodness, this card, I've never seen this card. I don't remember seeing it. So beautiful. There's a lot of surreal art where recently that you see a urban landscape, and then in the in the sky with the stars, there's actual flying whales, and it's absolutely gorgeous. I mean, it's not for everyone, obviously, but it's really, really nice. She of the Invisible Alley. Maiden Journey. Keeper of Silence. I believe there's a couple of cards that are called Keeper. Could be wrong. Maybe it's, you know, there's so many decks, to be honest, that especially when it comes to Oracle, it's kind of easy to confuse the cards between decks. Psyche, the Songstress. The Songstress, okay, that's interesting. Divine Masculine, the Oracle. Okay, that's nice, but these are poker playing cards. That's kind of interesting, and there's a Joker here. That's interesting. I like it. The Lady of Perpetual Rebirth. Beautiful. So the cards do stick together, but once you uncrack them, it feels like they're just going to be okay afterwards. The Trailblazer, that's so beautiful. So I wonder, because I wonder, maybe this one will pair up really well with the Tarot Persephone's Garden, because the art style, well, look at this. I mean, this is very similar. So let me just go and separate all of the cards, because I actually want to pair those two decks together. So I'll be right back. Okay, so here we are. So let me just grab back the Tarot of Persephone's Garden, because it was a bit of a surprise, to be honest. I wasn't thinking about pairing these two up together, but now that I was looking at those cards, I was like, well, it kind of is the same or very similar kind of art, so it makes sense to at least try and see if this works or not. And I think it does. I think we have another winner, because it is very similar. Obviously not all of the cards, because I feel like there's a bit of a mix, but look at this. It could be the same character. So there's a bit of a mix when it comes to the Witch Oracle, when it comes to art style. But then again, oh my goodness, this, wow, do you feel it as well? This is amazing. It feels like we're in the same painting almost. I don't know, it feels like really, really similar. Okay, wow. I honestly, this is completely a surprise for me. I did not know, I would not have thought that these two would have paired up so well together. And you probably did, and so I'm laughing, because now I'm thinking there's probably a lot of you that were watching the part of the Tarot Persephone's Garden, and you probably commented that it would pair up well with the Witch Oracle, and now I've actually found out as well. So that is so cool, though. I really love these two together. They're amazing. I mean, look at this. I will have to go back to the guidebook when it comes to the Witch Oracle, because a few of these cards actually tell me something. The Judge for sure, but there's a few of these that also the Spider Woman, that's not too much of a stretch. Woman in total control of herself, yeah, that's the theme of the deck, so I kind of recognize that. Obviously the Songstress, let me just go to the book, because I don't really understand the Songstress or the song. So let's have a look, because I don't want to say something stupid that has got nothing to do with it. So 12, no, that was the one. I was actually on the right card. So this one. When was the last time you had a conversation with the moon? Made music for the night sky, sang songs to the stars? When was the last time you showed up fully just as you are and offered your voice to the universe, which incidentally means one song? Okay? So many of us let the idea of perfect get in the way of good. We refuse to make an offering of our art, music, service, ideas, mission, or soulcraft because we feel we aren't yet polished enough. Absolutely. Okay, I get it. We aren't accomplished enough, not educated, experienced, or professional enough. Or we're too much, too old, too late, too unoriginal, too much, and not enough steal time and lives. Somewhere along the way, we let perfect in the door, and it robbed us of our passions and our offerings. Really, really beautiful. I love Angie. I love Angie's writing. It's just always so meaningful, so deep, so poignant. But a woman in total control of herself knows she is part earth and part sky. There are moonbeams in her veins and birdsong in her soul. Look, I'm not going to read all of it. There's also, I believe, a poem. This is really beautiful. I'm so stoked to have this deck. I hesitated for a while before getting it because there was a lot of disappointment in the community when, you know, this happened. So it was a Kickstarter campaign, and then immediately after the Kickstarter, or almost immediately, there was, you know, news about this deck being picked up mass market. And after that, it wasn't long before they actually started distributing. So there was this kind of dissonance between the fact that we as collectors and readers, we back artists in their endeavor when we back their Kickstarter campaign, because we know that they're not going through the traditional publishing ways. So it's kind of it creates a bit of a clash between the intention of a Kickstarter and what happens. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of decks that have been picked up mass market after a Kickstarter, but not during the Kickstarter. So for what I understand, or at least what I heard from other people that reached out to Angie, she was already in talks with US Games. If it wasn't during the Kickstarter campaign, it was immediately afterwards. So that's where let's say the disappointment comes from. I did not get that disappointment because I did not back the Kickstarter campaign, so I'm quite happy about having the mass market edition. My goodness, this is amazing. I really need to do a lot of work with these two together, because I believe it's going to be a fantastic, almost explosive kind of combination, and I'm really loving it. So this was it for when it comes to the decks. I said at the beginning of the video that I was going to show you a couple of books that I got. In total, I got 18 books. But the reason why I got so many is because I went to a second-hand bookstore and they had books for $2 each. So obviously I bought the bulk of those 18 at $2 each. But I'm not going to show you those ones because those ones are very, very specific books that I don't know whether I want to show, not because I'm worried about giving some kind of message. It's basically very, very specific kind of books. Some of them are technical books. Some of them are just, you know, the kind of books that you would expect in a $2 books bin. But I am going to show you the 3 that I got from the same bookstore, which is called the Book Face. And these 3 are the ones that I got from the same bookstore where I got the Tarot and Oracle deck. And it's these ones here. So I'll start with this one. This is It by Stephen King, and I actually collect different editions of this book. I love Stephen King, absolutely one of my favorite authors of all time, not specific for the horror genre. I believe that he's a master storyteller, honestly. He writes, you can not like horror, and of course you will not read his books. However, I have to say that there's a lot of his books that are not necessarily too much into horror. There's a lot. What I want to point out is that, for example, in It, what's important here is the coming of age story, which is absolutely fantastic. And the fact that there is this group of, they call themselves the losers, and they go through so much. And so much of what they go through is very common to our own histories. You know, a lot of people actually relate to the characters, and they actually bond with the characters of this book because of that. So it's not my favorite Stephen King's book of all time. That would be another one that not everyone likes, but I actually really, really enjoy. It's called The Institute. I absolutely adore the book. I think it's fantastic. There's a lot of people that compare it to Firestarters, but doesn't have the same kind of oomph. And I understand that, but I read The Institute before I read the Firestarters, so I actually prefer it. And then there's Pet Sematary, which is definitely a wonderful book. I love this book so much, and I do collect different editions of this book. So this, I did not have this one, which is from the more recent movie adaptation in 2 parts of it. So I'm excited about rereading it because I just absolutely love reading this book. I read it every 4 or 5 years. I just reread it because I really love to be in the company of these guys. I really love them. And then there's 2 books that I haven't read. So this one is actually a sequel. It's called Don't Fear the Reaper, and it's the sequel to My Heart is a Chainsaw by Stephen Graham Jones. This is a horror book. It's a slasher horror book. So the slasher is a trope in the horror genre. I absolutely loved My Heart is a Chainsaw. I know that a lot of people don't like that book because it's really slow burn. So the building takes ages. There's not a lot happening for 3/4 of the book, and then in the last quarter, everything happens all at once. There's a lot of essays in between the pages, so it's the protagonist that really, really loves the slasher genre, and so there's a lot of references all throughout the book to slasher movies. I don't particularly like the slasher trope, but I just love that book. I love the way in which the character is painted, and I really bonded with the character. I really ended up caring so much about her throughout the book, and I just couldn't. It felt really sad that after the book I wasn't going to read about her anymore. And when I heard that there was indeed a sequel, then I just absolutely had to get it. And so this one here, I can't wait to read it. And then this one, because I heard so much about this book, is The Reformatory by Tananarive. I know that it's a horror book, but there's a lot of political messages in this book as well. I don't know whether I'm gonna like it or not. I haven't read any book by this author, but I heard so much, and especially because I love to follow booktubers on YouTube, and one of them is Kayla, one of them is Anda Kent. So I heard from both of them that this is a really good book, so I want to check it out. And so that was it, because 3 books, and I have 15 more, but they're all, as I said, secondhand, and some of them are really boring, so I don't want to show all of them here. But in any case, that was it for today. A very surprised but very, very pleasant recent tarot and oracle and books haul. So thank you so much for staying with me till the end of this video. More to come. Have a great day.